Welcome to the Stoic Shift, where we dig deep into the timeless truths of ancient philosophy and bring them to life for modern souls. Today, we're stepping into sacred territory, the inner world of people who have suffered deeply. Because the truth is, pain changes you. It breaks you open. It strips you of illusions. And in that sacred breaking, something new is born. Not everyone understands it, but those who've been through the fire, they do. Philosophy doesn't romanticize suffering. It doesn't say pain is good. No. What it teaches us that how we respond to suffering determines who we become. And that's the difference between the wounded and the wise. You see, people who have suffered deeply don't walk through life like everyone else. They move differently, speak differently, see differently, because life has carved something into them that comfort never could. They've learned that peace isn't the absence of struggle. Peace is the presence of understanding. They don't need to prove themselves anymore. Their scars have already told their story. These people carry emotional depth, the kind that doesn't come from books or lectures. It comes from living, from breaking, from rebuilding. They feel things at a level that's hard to explain because they've cried in the dark. They've questioned everything. They've sat alone with their own soul and asked God, why me? And even when no answers came, they kept going. That kind of pain gives you insight, not just about yourself, but about others. These people become listeners, empaths, truth tellers. Not because it's trendy, but because they know what it's like to feel invisible. They don't want anyone else to feel that way. There's a certain quiet that surrounds those who've suffered. Not the silence of defeat, but the silence of understanding. They've learned the value of peace because they've lived through chaos. While the world screams for attention, they are content with stillness. They no longer chase applause or likes. Their currency is peace of mind. Because when you've suffered deeply, you stop playing surface level games. You start craving real love, real conversations, real purpose. People who've suffered develop detachment, not out of apathy, but wisdom. They've had things taken from them. People, opportunities, dreams. They know how quickly life can change. So they don't hold on too tightly anymore. They love, but they don't cling. They dream, but they're not deluded. They hope, but they prepare. That kind of mindset doesn't make them cold. It makes them clear. They're also incredibly perceptive. Pain sharpens your senses. It teaches you how to read a room, how to sense tension without words, how to feel energy shift. Because when you've been hurt, you start watching people more closely, not out of paranoia, but protection. You start to see beyond what's said. You notice inconsistencies. You pick up on micro expressions. You feel when something is off, not because you're trying to, but because pain has trained you to pay attention. You learn that not everyone clapping for you is rooting for you. Not everyone smiling is sincere, and not every connection is sacred. But here's the beauty of those who've suffered deeply. They don't just become guarded, they also become compassionate. Deeply, beautifully compassionate. Because pain has a way of opening your heart, humbles you. It strips you of judgment. It reminds you that everyone is fighting battles you can't see. And so, these people become kind. Not weak, but kind. They know the cost of cruelty. They've lived with the weight of words that cut, betrayals that sting, losses that never fully heal. And so they choose softness, not because they haven't known hardness, but because they have. They forgive, not because it's easy, but because they don't want to carry that poison anymore. They let go, not because it didn't matter, but because they understand that holding on will only keep them bound. This kind of growth doesn't come from a book. It comes from experience. It comes from having everything fall apart and deciding to rebuild anyway. Stoicism teaches us to welcome difficulty as a teacher, not a curse. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." People who have suffered deeply live this truth. They've learned to turn obstacles into fuel. Their suffering has become their strength. Their breakdown became their breakthrough. They've stopped asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and started asking, "What is this here to teach me?" These people don't waste time anymore. They don't argue over petty things. They don't gossip or envy or compare. They know how precious time is, how fleeting health is, how sacred presence is. They are present, not in theory, but in truth. When they love you with intention. When they show up fully, because life has taught them that nothing is promised. And that awareness makes them rare. If you've suffered deeply, you might not even realize how strong you are. You may still be walking through the fire. You may still feel broken. But let me tell you something, every scar you carry is evidence that you survived something that tried to destroy you. Every tear you shed was watering the soil for your rebirth. You are not weak. You are not a victim. You are becoming. Suffering doesn't mean you failed. It means you were chosen to carry a weight that would reveal your hidden strength. And in the words of Epictetus, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You may feel tired, weary, worn down, but don't give up, because the very pain you're walking through is shaping you into something the world needs. A soul with wisdom, a heart with compassion, a mind with clarity. That's rare. That's valuable. So if you're listening to this right now and you've suffered, know this: you are not alone. You are not broken. You are not cursed. You are becoming something beautiful. Slowly, quietly, powerfully, keep going. And remember, you've already survived the worst. Now let the rest of your life be the reward. This is the Stoic Shift. Stay grounded, stay watchful, stay unshaken.